Hello, this is Pastor Micah from Life's Journey United Church of Christ. I hope that you're having a wonderful week. I didn't share a video last week sharing a midweek reflection because instead I shared in email some links about Independence Day and the continuing work of working to make our communities more fair and just for all. Today, I want to continue sharing some thoughts as a midweek reflection from the Beatitudes. Jesus' Beatitudes are snapshots, images of what lives that transform our world so it becomes more like it is in heaven look like. Right now, we are in a time of heartache, discouragement, and division. And in times such as ours, the Beatitudes are examples of a very different way of responding than how we normally respond on our own. This is a way that lights a candle in the darkness rather than cursing it. Today, I want to spend a few minutes looking at this beatitude. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. To hunger and thirst is to long for something, just as your body craves water when thirsty or when hungry. The word righteousness, which is what Jesus says we are to hunger and thirst for, sometimes gets equated with personal holiness or living right according to one standard or another. But really, that word righteousness has a different sense in the Bible. In the Bible, righteousness means equity or fairness for all, which is also what the biblical word justice means. You can just as easily translate this verse, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for justice, or blessed are those who hunger and thirst for equity. And when you know that, this Beatitudes meaning becomes more clear. One helpful way to look at what hungering for justice or thirsting for equity means is a story Gandhi used to tell. He asked people to imagine that in one town every day falling into a river and nearly drowning to death. The call of compassion or works of mercy, which is an important call for a person of faith, for a Christian, would be to rescue the person that day, whoever they were, who had fallen into the river. So though they fell into the river, that day they didn't drown. It might even be to organize an ongoing rescue program of different volunteers that would send a different person out every day to rescue whoever had fallen into the river before they drowned. So fewer people drowned. You can see how that was. But Gandhi explained that the hunger for justice goes one step further. Rather than just rescuing each person who drowned in the river, someone who hungers for justice or equity would ask, why are people drowning in the river? And what can we do to make sure, once we know what its cause is, that we quit having tons of people drowning in the river? Perhaps you'd find a bridge was out and you'd fix and repair the bridge. You think of all the different reasons people would be drowning. Justice would try to change things so that the cause of people drowning wasn't there. So people quit falling into the river anymore. To hunger for justice or equity is not just to have a drive to help individuals who are hurting or struggling, but it is the hunger and thirst for those systemic issues that cause injustice to be either reformed or eradicated. So it is a more fair and equal place for all. One of my own heroes of faith, who hails from North Carolina, in fact, from Durham, where I currently live, was the late Pauli Murray. She was an author and civil rights leader, a lawyer and preacher, and she was the first Black woman ordained a priest in the Episcopal Church USA. She described her own hunger and thirst for justice and equity beautifully in this poem. She writes, is a crushed stalk between clenched fingers. Hope is a bird's wing broken sound. Hope is a word in a tuneless ditty, a word whispered with the wind, a dream of 40 acres and a mule, a cabin of one's own, and a moment to rest, a name, and a place for one's children, and children's children at last. Hope is a song in a weary throat. Give me a song of hope, and a world where I can sing it. Give me a song of faith, and a people to believe in it. Give me a song of kindliness, and a country where I can live it. Give me a song of hope and love, and a brown girl's heart to hear. Amos shows us in the Bible that this kind of hunger for a better world, for a fairer world for all, that Jesus spoke about, that Gandhi spoke about, and that in this poem, Pauli Murray describes. In Amos 5:22-24, Amos shows us that God said that God says that it is found in God's self. Here God says, if you bring me your entirely burnt offerings and gifts of food, I won't be pleased. I won't even look at your offerings or well-fed animals. Take away the noise of your songs. I won't listen to the melody of your harps. But let justice roll down like water, and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. During the current crises of our time, which I see as threefold: the coronavirus pandemic, the current crises surrounding systemic racism and police brutality, and our ongoing climate crisis on the verge of becoming climate catastrophe. These three crises of our times have at their center issues of disparity, unfairness, inequity. And it is easy to respond with indifference, or even in ways that further the divide and the animosity between us. Jesus is showing us in this beatitude that we need to pay attention. We need to listen. We need to learn what our moment is revealing to us about our inequity. I have mentioned before that I have joined a group of fellow clergy reading through Abraham X. Kendi's How to Be an Anti-Racist. Explore together how we can work for justice and equity in this time. I would challenge you to study and consider how you can work for justice in your life situation. In his historic musical Hamilton, Lin-Manuel Miranda imagines Alexander Hamilton singing, I am not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot. Hey, oh, I'm just like my country. I'm young, scrappy, and hungry, and I'm not throwing away my shot. Jesus' beatitude is telling us as we move to work for justice and equity, full of hunger and longing, we can know doing so is not throwing our time and life away. Rather, we are taking ourselves. And if we do so, we will make a difference. Let's not our shot either, but go forth scrappy and hungry for a more just and fair world. Amen and amen.